Tomorrow is my 25th wedding anniversary with my wife. I, 43 male, love my wife, 42, more than any words I could type here. She is beautiful, funny, and smart. She is everything I've always wanted. And truth be told, I do not deserve her. When we first got married, I was in the Army. I missed more birthdays, holidays, and anniversaries than I could count. And as much as I know this upset her, she never once got angry at me for it. Instead, she would just smile and tell me to go save the world, even though I know behind that smile was a broken heart. She never once let that show. She's probably the strongest person I have ever met. I've been separated from the Army for 10 years now, and I've tried my best to be there for every birthday, holiday, and anniversary, even if it meant we celebrated on the day before or the day after. This year, I plan to take her on a trip for our 25th anniversary. We never got to have a honeymoon. We never even really had a vacation together. I thought that since the kids were grown and moved out, oldest is 22 and youngest is 20, I could take her away for the weekend, just the two of us. I booked the hotel, the cabin, the dinner reservations, everything I could think of to make this memorable for her. It has been all she has talked about for the last month. She was so excited about this trip. She bought new clothes, got her hair done. I truly had never seen her so excited about anything before. Cut to Wednesday night. An emergency happened at work. All supervisors, me included, and all hands on deck to fix this mechanical problem. We ended up taking shifts sleeping at work to get this fixed. It is a catastrophic failure, and nobody is leaving until we troubleshoot the problem and get it fixed. I call my wife and tell her that I'm not coming home. She makes sure that I'm not hurt, that nobody else got hurt, and then offers to bring us pizza. On Thursday afternoon, we figure out the problem and what we need to do to fix it. My general manager is here. I get the parts ordered and he drops the bomb. We are all working this weekend to install the parts, to get the machines working again. My stomach dropped into my legs because I knew that I would have to go home and tell my wife that the trip was not happening. It made me physically sick. I got home that evening, and my wife could tell something was wrong. So I sat her down and told her that the trip would have to be postponed to another time. She just smiled and said that it wasn't my fault, that she understood, and stuff happens. While I was in the shower, she was unpacking the suitcases, and for the first time in our marriage, I saw her cry because of something that I had done. She was unpacking all her new clothes and she had tears in her eyes, and it broke my heart. I felt like the biggest piece of crap on the planet. I left for work early this morning and spent about an hour crying in the parking lot because it made me realize that my wife never let me see how disappointed and hurt she was. She holds it all in so that I don't worry about her. I was never under the delusion that me missing these things and having to cancel did not affect her, but to actually see it broke my heart. I do not know what to do to make this up to her. What do I do to make this up to her? I love my wife so much, and it's killing me to know that something I did hurt her so badly. At this point, I'm desperate. What do I do to help my wife? I seriously cannot believe you're the only person so far to question why he just doesn't say he has to leave. Did they need you there if they already knew the problem and how to fix it? Reschedule for ASAP and tell them your time off is just that, your time off. If you took off, they shouldn't be holding you hostage when you had a planned trip to be elsewhere. You know, my mom has a pretty similar work ethic to you. It's admirable in some ways, but you all act like the most important commitment to ever exist is your job. You cancel plans, abandon evenings, reschedule dinners and vacations, and completely miss unretrievable life moments, all for a job that would replace you within 2 to 3 pay periods. It sucks having someone like that in your life, OP. It sucks even more when you love them so much that you put up with the broken promises just to cling to the few and far between moments of closeness. Reschedule for an even better trip and keep your promise this time. Good luck. I hope you make it right. I want to know why you didn't at least try telling your boss that you wouldn't come in. Maybe the Army background has made you accept this kind of order without questioning. Maybe it's one of those places where you can't or they replace you. I don't know. Call your boss and explain the situation. You already have to prioritize your crappy job your whole life. Prioritize your wife at least once. Update: I royally screwed up my anniversary with my wife. I just wanted to thank everyone for posting, especially those so brutally honest with me. I called in every favor from everyone who owed me a favor in the last 25 years. My wife isn't a flower person, so I called her favorite yarn shop and asked them to put together a basket of every yarn she has looked at in the last month and didn't get, and give enough for the projects that it goes with. I called her favorite bakery to get her favorite Pignoli cookies and had them delivered to my work. I called a friend out of state to go to her brewery to get her favorite beer and bring it to me at work. Then I called her favorite restaurant, got a reservation, and got the owner and chef to make a special menu just for her. We are regulars at this restaurant and they know us well, so this was an easy task. I then called my parts vendor, explained the situation to him, and asked if we could get the parts sooner than Saturday. I explained the situation to him, let him know how important it was to get these parts as soon as possible, and he said he would make some calls. He called me back around 3 hours later and said he found the parts we needed and would bring them to me in 4 hours. Once I knew the parts were on the way, I went to my manager, told him that no matter what, I was going on this trip with my wife. I told him the parts were on the way, my team had everything ready to install, and showed him the maintenance/electrical plan to repair this machine. I told him if all went right, the machine would be fixed by 3:00 p.m. that day, and as soon as I was sure it was running, I was leaving. I told my team lead that I was turning off my cell phone for the entire weekend, gave him the number to the hotel, and told him that he could call that for emergencies only, but that I would see him today when I got back to work. To end, my wife was blown away by the yarn, the cookies, the dinner, but more importantly, the look on her face when I told her we were still going away was enough happiness to last me a lifetime. We had an amazing weekend, so much so that I told my wife that once a month, we are going to make this a regular thing, at least once a month. To answer the big question, why haven't my wife and I ever gone on vacation alone? The answer is money and childcare. We lived far away from any family, think another continent far away, and financially could not afford a nanny or babysitter for an entire week or weekend to watch the kids. So if we did go on vacation, we took them with us. Also, we did not have a honeymoon after we got married because I was only home on leave long enough to get married and then went straight to AIT, and we didn't have the financial means to afford a fancy honeymoon trip. When I left for boot camp, she was 17 and was still living at home with her toxic parents. With the help of friends, we could get copies of her important documents, birth certificate, new social security card, anything we would need to get married, and then they slowly helped her move out one bag at a time so her mom and dad wouldn't notice. I had 2 weeks of leave between boot camp and AIT, and in that time she had already turned 18. The day after I got home, we went to the town clerk to fill out the marriage license, and after waiting the standard week in our state, we got married at the courthouse. The next day we moved all the stuff from my friend's house to the apartment I got for her and never looked back. My mother, 48 female, hates the idea of women in the military, because it's a man's job. Well, I, 18 female, plan on going into the Army, but due to my career choice, she began calling me her son, which is driving me insane. It all began when I sat her down to discuss what I wanted to do in life. I told her that I didn't like the idea of going to college and would rather be in a physically demanding field. At first, she thought I had wanted to be a yoga instructor. Of course, I shot that down and told her that I wanted to join the military. She was visibly upset and left for a while. I didn't blame her. She probably felt bad because I'm her only child, and she wanted me to go into some sort of feminine career. She returned 20 or 25 minutes later and told me she was upset to have raised a boy. I was confused. I asked her if she was calling me a boy, and she said yes. I was livid. I kept my cool though and asked her not to call me a boy. All she did was shake her head no and walk away. We are at a party with my immediate family, and my mom is the hostess this year. We get to the point where it's time to make a toast. My mom gets up, taps the knife to her champagne glass, and says, "I have an announcement to make." Of course, everyone is listening. She says, and I quote, "My son plans on joining the military. It is a big accomplishment for him." I immediately get up and yell at her to stop calling me her son. Afterward, I go upstairs for the remainder of the party. It's nothing but dead silence from downstairs. Everyone is gone and my mother tells me to open my door. I open the door and I kid you not, she put her finger in my face and began yelling at me because I embarrassed her at dinner. I apologized to her. I don't mean it. After half an hour of being yelled at, she goes to her room and we don't talk for 3 days. I feel bad for yelling at my mom in front of the family. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Call your father back in public, for sure, 'cause you know yelling is very unladylike. Call her dad in front of her friends and family. Moreover, she thought it was, in fact, humiliating for a girl to go to the military, which I don't even want to comment on. Not the idiot, OP. Wow, your mom is really being a nasty witch about this. And the worst part is her behavior is damaging your relationship, and she's going to keep framing your career choice as the reason you two don't get along. Sorry you're going through this. I hope you have other people in your life supporting your choice. The dead silence you heard was people being excruciatingly uncomfortable that they watched a mother disrespect her daughter in such a public way, especially since joining the military is so honored in the US. She not only was disrespectful to you, but she also disrespected the entire US military. I would be deeply embarrassed that a woman like that thought I was an acceptable audience for that revolting display. I'm sorry you had to go through this. Please know that you're doing an honorable thing, despite your mom's hatefulness. I have a stepdaughter, Anna, with whom I have an okay relationship. I'd say outside of some teen angst, we've always gotten along okay, although she absolutely despised my bio daughter, Katie. Anna is someone who does tend to hyper-focus on her own feelings and can't see beyond her feelings being hurt. I'd say she also has some anxiety. When they were both in high school, a little over 10 years ago, she cut up Katie's prom dress because she was so upset that it was nicer than hers. Dad's family had money, and because my husband was forcing Anna to go to prom, which I agree was wrong. Still, he thought she was being childish for refusing to go because she was unhappy with her dress. Don't get me wrong, I was beyond furious to the point I wanted her out of the house. Once I calmed down, I realized that was ridiculous, and I did resent Anna for a while over it. But it was high school. We're way past it. Recently, Katie, who isn't invited to the wedding, made a joke about I need to destroy Anna's dress to avenge her. Katie and Anna's fiance got into a huge fight, and I didn't even realize Anna was upset. But now she's paranoid that I'm going to do something. Katie is pretty serious and has made multiple comments about how great it would be to destroy the dress, and I should do it for her. She doesn't know the wedding date, location, or where Anna lives. I told her I wouldn't. She does have intrusive thoughts sometimes, and right now, there's no convincing her, and she asked me not to come to the wedding. Now, I'm of the mindset that you cannot invite half of a couple. I told my husband that it was hurtful, and I don't support him going without me. He asked me just to let it go this one time. I told Anna the same thing, but she just says she has anxiety now. I'm pretty set on I can't stop my husband from going without me, but I'm not going to encourage him or support it. I told Anna she was being rude and that my husband was failing to stand up for my marriage. You are the idiot. I wouldn't let you near my wedding after this, and my anxiety is mild. I wouldn't be comfortable having you anywhere near since you justify your daughter for wanting this. Nope, it's a nope. I want to suppose that you are a decent human, but I wouldn't gamble with it. If you are upset about not going to the wedding, thank your daughter. She's the one who had you banned. If this affects your marriage, your daughter's the one to blame, not your stepdaughter. Also, if the situation was your daughter not wanting her stepmother because her stepsis told her that her mother would destroy the bride's dress, you would support that. You are the idiot. Katie wants to wreck Anna's wedding. She straight admitted that she's serious about that. And you backed Katie and kept defending that stance? No way you should be allowed or given knowledge of Anna's wedding. Also, it's her dad, and you want him to miss the wedding for what? Because you don't believe in inviting half a couple. Anna's wedding is not about you. It's a giant milestone in her life, and you want her to walk down the aisle on her own because you're salty about not being there? That doesn't seem okay to me at all. What Anna did in high school was bad, but she was a teenager then. It was 10 years ago, and nothing in your post indicates that she's the same type of person, except for the anxiety, which isn't her fault or a crime. You have a bad tone about Anna, but are flippant about the fact that your own grown daughter wants you to destroy a wedding dress for revenge for something that happened a decade ago. Yet you don't say that Katie can't look past her own feelings, like how you describe Anna. No wonder you aren't trusted enough to be in attendance. You claim to be past resenting Anna, but that's not true, and it shows in the way you spoke of her in this story. My mom has a lot of undiagnosed mental health issues that she refuses to go to therapy or a doctor for. I suspect narcissism, and she truly lives in her reality. She has a history of lying and making up stories to victimize herself and blame other people. I'm 35 with 2 young kids, and her behavior has started to freak me out so much, I refuse to leave my kids alone with her. I'm scared she'll do something and then lie about it, or tear them down the way she did me as a kid. So anyway, she met her ex-boyfriend 2 years ago, and they have been on and off for the last year. I've been around him pretty often over the last year, and he seems like a decent guy overall. Honestly, seemed too normal for my mom, but it's always his fault every time they break up. He's abusive, drinking too much, cheating, lying, spending money, etc. In the last fight they had, she alleged an altercation that was untrue. She tried to play the victim for sympathy, and because she was embarrassed by how the argument happened, she admitted to blacking out and thinking that's what happened, and then they got back together the next week, so she made up the entire thing to victimize herself. Well, fast forward to now. Last month she claimed they broke up for the final and last time because he's the awful man. I've never heard this allegation before, and she has a history of lying and being nasty since I was a kid. However, her story just isn't adding up, so I decided to reach out to her ex-boyfriend. He told me that she verbally attacked him for something relating to his ex-girlfriend and tried to flip it onto him. He said she blacked out and her behavior scared him. He also said this wasn't the first time her behavior raised red flags, and he left it at that. Well, my mom found out and said I betrayed her, and he was lying. I believe him 1,000,000% because of the things I saw growing up, and I told her she needs to see a therapist before she can be around my kids again. So, am I the idiot for reaching out to my mom's ex-boyfriend? Everyone's the idiot here. What do you gain by knowing the actual answer to their breakup? Do you intend to maintain your relationship with this guy? Or is it more out of curiosity? Their breakup is none of your business. That being said, you are justified in not believing your mother if she has a history of lying. So your mom's been awful since you were a kid. Not wanting to put your kids through what you went through is enough of a reason not to leave her alone with your kids. You don't need her ex-boyfriend's testimony. Not the idiot for asking him, but you have enough reasons to be wary of your mom without needing the truth of why their relationship went sideways. I was going to say everyone's the idiot here because I thought you could have at least given your mom the decency to explain herself more and should have straight up said, "Stop lying and tell me the truth," to see if she actually would fess up and be honest. But with everything you've given behavior-wise, you probably know better than anyone. So it doesn't matter what you say, she'll keep lying. So not the idiot, because I don't think you could have gotten a reliable answer any other way. No one likes getting up in someone else's business, but she's around your kids, and she's not able to tell you the truth.